Okay, so I reckon that we'll get started.
So just reintroducing ourselves again. I'm Scott, the director of Synergy, and this is Alex Cumberland. He's our operations manager. We're based out of Brisbane in Queensland in Australia. We've been going a fair few years now. We probably launched about 4 years ago. We've got a huge number of clients now. We're a profitable company. And yeah, we're going from strength to strength. And now we're starting to look at really expanding and growing our partner program up now. To get started, we're going to go through a bit of an agenda. I'll let Alex read that one out.
So to give you the agenda again, we're going to run through a sales demo. So it'll have a look at how we sell Synergy and what the sales process normally looks like to new customers. We'll then look at an overview of our templating language and have a closer look at our development tools. I'll then go over how custom fields work on Synergy 8 and how overriding our system pages, like the product display and that type of thing, works. And we'll have a bit of a look at how to replicate some of the functionality that you've been doing through web apps in Synergy 8. So looking at like a gallery example. I'm then going to run through our reseller program and the portal. So what resellers and Synergy 8 partners can do. And then we'll look at the Synergy 8 pricing structure so that you're crystal clear on how that all works. And then we'll follow up with a couple of questions from you guys. I think that in your Zoom bar, it might be along the bottom here or up the top or something, has a question, like a facility for answering and asking questions. So if any questions do pop up, jump in there and have a bit of a look. We'll take it from there. So
we'll probably leave a lot of the questions though till the end.
I think so.
Just so we have a bit of a smooth, process.
Yeah.
And we can get covered.
So if throughout the demo something pops up, just stick it in that questions thing, and then at the end I'll read some of the questions out and we'll walk through it. So to get started, I guess the idea of our product and what we're trying to build here is a complete solution for doing online marketing for small, medium, established businesses. So we're taking the main features that you would need out of an array of different applications and things for running your website and doing marketing, and trying to put them together in one integrated, secure, well-working suite. So when you log into the dashboard, you'll see on the left-hand side the main components that Synergy 8 is separated up into. So we have a website component for updating the pages on your site, changing templates, posting articles and content, and then seeing where your traffic is coming from. Whenever someone completes their details in a form, or whenever they purchase something or sign up for an event, a new contact is added into the database. That's one central customer database that has access to, that all the other tools in the system have access to. You can group and segment that database into groups as you please. We've then got a suite of marketing tools for publishing content out to social media, running email marketing campaigns, setting up automation. And if you're running events like workshops and things and need to take RSVPs, we have a cool little events app for doing that as well. Something that's not included in this panel that is an optional feature of Synergy 8 is our SMS marketing engine too. We've also got a commerce engine to facilitate an online store or taking payment and that type of thing. One of the edges that Synergy 8 has over a lot of other standard website platforms out there is we're quite well known in the accounting sector. So whether sales invoices are happening online through an online store, or if those sales are happening in our connected accounting software, that data will still be reflected in Synergy 8. So if you have a business client that's running Xero or MYOB as their accounting package, the contacts will actually synchronize across from those suites, and the sales invoices will appear in the statistics for Synergy 8. I guess when you log into the dashboard, we'll show you an overview of how all of those things are working together. So website visits to invoices, whether they're happening through the store or offline in the accounting software. And then we've got new contacts on the database as well, so that you can see the effect of an email marketing campaign on your website traffic and sales and things that are coming through. You do have the ability to add your own little connotations to the timeline as well that will appear throughout the system. and you get a bit of a customer activity feed of, yeah, people logging on and viewing the website and purchasing stuff and that type of thing too. So starting at the top, let's have a look at the website side of things. So I'm going to breeze through the designs templates side of things pretty quickly because we're coming back to it. The website design template defines the overall look and feel of the site. It's at the moment pretty targeted towards developers, so it's something that you'll have total control over editing HTML and CSS and adding your own JavaScript and PHP. There's a website design template that you'll set up, as well as an email marketing design template too. Within those templates, you define a secondary template for doing things like the display used to list posts on the website, for example. With the email marketing design, we have a additional template that's attached to that for specifying how posts look when they're used in email campaigns and that type of thing too. So yeah, I'll come back to that and we'll have a look at the editor and how templating works with Synergy A2. The next section is pages. So this is something that normal administrative users would come in and have a play around with. So we've got all of the pages of the website listed here. You can create new pages really easily. You can clone and copy pages around on the website. Most of our navigation menus will be dynamic, meaning that they will, like the navigation bar on the website will directly reflect the page structure that's sitting in the pages section of the dashboard. So I can drag these around and change the order of the navigation bar, for example. If I click on one of these pages to edit it, it'll open up our page editor. So as me and Scott were talking about before, some of you guys jumped in before, our page editor is something that we've built entirely from scratch. It's technology that we're really, really proud of, and it's been about 3 years in the making. So the reason that we started putting it together is because we want a really nice experience for editing and publishing web documents. So it's really easy for non-technical users to come in here and update their content. I can insert media onto the page as well. So if I want to go maybe from media here, I can upload my files from the computer. So I'll upload images and PDF documents or video or whatever. And then there's a drag and drop environment to get it across onto the page that works quite neatly. Another thing that I mentioned before as well is you can also upload a zip file and then you'll be able to unzip the document in the attached media side of things as a quick way of getting all of the media uploaded. You can also insert things like maybe I want to add a YouTube video here. So I'll drag and drop the YouTube side of things in. And then it's really easy for us to jump in and like browse YouTube and add that video in there too. So I've also got some settings on the left-hand side here. So this is where users will come in to update the search engine description. So we've got a little bit of a preview thing here that will show their users what it's going to look like in Google search when it actually appears. And you can set your keywords in there as well. If I click over into attributes and security for this page as well, I might say something like, I only want this page to, maybe I don't want this page to appear in the navigation menu. So I'll tick that one on, and maybe I don't want it indexed in the sitemap, so I'll tick that on as well. I can also define some security settings. So if I maybe want to restrict the users that are allowed to come in and see this page, I can create a new rule set about who's allowed to view the page. So I might say only contacts who meet this certain set of conditions are allowed to view this page, where those conditions can be things like maybe they have to be in at least one of these groups, or maybe they have to have purchased something in the past, or they have to have clicked a link in an email campaign or something like that. So you've got a lot of control over who has access to pages. This comes in pretty handy when you combine it with our automation side of things as well, that might be doing things like when someone purchases a product, add them into a group, which gives them access to a page, for example. So really easy to set that stuff up. Another pretty cool thing that you can do here is say you can only view this page if you're a registered contact and restrict after a number of page views. So this is handy if you've got a really good blog and you want to allow people to maybe view 1 or 2 pages before you gate the content and require that they sign up. So that's what that's used for as well. I guess the next step that we'll do here is have a look at our split source view. So I might jump over to this site here because it's a little bit more modern looking. Yeah, so this is a standard like boilerplate template that we use quite a lot. It's based on Bootstrap framework. So if I want to edit this page as a developer, I can jump in here and see a split view between the visualization of the page and the source code. So things like our selection is synchronized between the two, so you can see what you're doing. You can, manipulate things through either the top, what you see is what you get area, or through, the source code, and that'll be updated in real time for you. We've got a couple of neat little, buckets for your CSS and your JavaScript and PHP as well. So totally fine with doing that sort of stuff. And then, even a page like this that's quite heavy with, Bootstrap and that type of things, I can still, grab extra sections and drag them in alongside what I've coded in, and it works really nicely.
I might just elaborate a little bit on some of that stuff. So if you're a developer and say like you wanted to change some of the code in here, maybe for instance you wanted to have a certain class on that H2, we can come in here and go my class, and then from within the CSS tab we can go .h2 and then set its color to like red. Maybe that has, oh sorry, my class. And so you can see that we've quickly gone and created a class on that H2 element. And you can basically, each design will have its own set of CSS, and every page will have its own set of CSS. So that way you can separate those concerns and also provide a little bit of unique CSS for each page if you want to as well. If you're using things like Bootstrap as well, we'll automatically pick that up. So you can see here that this column here has col SM4, and you'll notice that we've actually detected that row column system there. You'll be able to manipulate that and say like delete that column or even add a new one as well. So it becomes even quite friendly for an end user to edit it, even when it has bespoke code. I will let Alex get back to what he's done.
We have a lot of really cool features planned for this editor as well. This is what you're seeing here is actually like the base first release. So this is 3-week-old editor. So one of the main improvements that we're working on is actually multi-user editing. So something that's not too far down the track is going to be the ability for multiple users to be jumping in at the same time, kind of similar to a Google Docs setup if you've used that before, where multiple people can be editing the same document in real time. We're really excited about that. It's going to be pushed through to email marketing campaigns as well, so there's no more like people saving stuff over the top of each other accidentally and that type of thing. It'd be a pretty good way to like put an email campaign together as well. So we're really excited about that too.
And you could be on your, you could be on the phone to one of your clients, for instance, and if they're like, oh, we want to make the logo bigger or something like that, you could make those changes in real time while they're looking at it in the editor. They'll see it exactly as it's going to appear on the site. You can make even code changes, and they'll see them reflected in the editor. And then when you're ready, you can just hit save and publish it. It's the collaborative nature of it's really good.
All of the saves on pages or saving of design templates, products, every basic like save transaction on Synergy is also logged on the administrator that saved those changes. So that means that if a user comes in and makes a mistake on a page or gets into the design template and does something bad or maybe changes a product or something like that, I can go down to settings, changes, and see all of the changes that have happened on this website and roll them back as well. It's pretty incredible how some of this stuff works as well. You can actually do like changes. So like as an example, deleting a post might have deleted the page linked to that post, so it'll go back in and create both of those things. that type of stuff as well, which is really handy for providing client support. So that's the page editing side of things. So it's really easy for people to come in and update their own content, and really easy for developers to come in and build cool stuff. We've also got posts side of things. So this is normally used to power a blog on the website is the most common use of it. We've got people that might use it for like displaying properties on a website or a whole lot of other things as well. So it's pretty flexible with the way that you can do it. On this example that I showed you before, we'll have a look at how posts are being used. So it's just being used as a basic blog. Every post is an image, title, and a short teaser. So that's why I guess it's pretty flexible. So that could be a property if I wanted it to be, or a car or something. I've got this post linking to a page on the website where I'll have the full article. So it's really easy for end users and non-technical users to come in and create those posts themselves. You can also set up post categories to categorize posts up into different things. Something particularly nice about this as well is your clients will be posting updates out to the website. As they're doing that, they can then come down the social media tool where they've got their Facebook page hooked up, and Twitter and LinkedIn and whatever other social networks they're using. And you can share that content out to social media straight away as well without having to fumble around logging into all these different platforms. Now, when the end of the month comes along and they're ready to do their email newsletter, something else that our software lets you do is actually create newsletters based on posts. So instead of having to upload that article content in another piece of software like MailChimp or whatever all over again, you've already written the content, so you can tick on these posts that you want included and hit create email, and that'll drag it into an email template ready to go. So this is an example of a message, that's been generated based on posts. So I've got the post image, title, and short teaser, and it's totally editable if the client wants to make some adjustments and stuff in there too. As a developer, you've also got the ability to define the display that's used in the generation of this email template as well. So if you want a specific layout for how posts look, like maybe you have the image spanning the full width of the design, that's totally something that you can do with some HTML and CSS knowledge as well. So as you can see, editing email campaigns is quite similar to editing pages on the site. So it's really intuitive to upload files and that type of thing. Something pretty cool that we allow you to do that was only added recently is you can actually drag and drop a YouTube video in here. So if I was to drag and drop a YouTube video over, I can then go, I can search straight from the sidebar here, so I don't have to jump over to YouTube, and I might say, let's just go Synergy 8. So I can click on that YouTube video and have it in there. I know what most of you are thinking. It's an email campaign. Email clients don't have support for YouTube video. So what we actually do in a case like this is we'll generate a thumbnail with a little play button overlay for when the client sends the email campaign so that people can click through and watch the video. We've also got a spam analysis tool on the left-hand side here as well. That'll have a bit of a look at the words included in your email campaign and help you make sure that you're getting the best spam score possible by swapping out some of the, spam looking words in there, like free and business, for example. It's going to be hard sending out April newsletter when April's in the spam word. After your campaign's ready to go, you can send some test copies out, and then you'll hit the next button there as well and go through to the next step. So when I'm ready to send out my campaign, you can schedule it to send at a certain time of day, send to tests, and by default, it'll go out to all the contacts on the database, but you can drill down and select a really targeted audience based on any of the data that's in Synergy 8. So that might be, what we've done here is we noticed a lot of people were building these lists. So they'd have all these marketing lists and they'd only be sending email campaigns to certain lists. We kind of want to leapfrog over the idea of even needing to create those damn lists. It takes ages putting people in there and stuff. So instead, we want to give people the ability to maybe send an email campaign out to everyone who purchased a certain product last year over $100, for example. So it's really easy to do stuff like that. So as an example here, I might say, I want to grab everyone who purchased product from the guitar packs product category where the invoice was paid and was at least $100, and they did not buy this other related product, for example. So you can get really targeted about the email, the audience that you're sending your email campaign out to. After the email's sent out, we'll give you some statistics on how the send went. So if I click on this message, I'll see the open rate. You will also see your click-through rate. So what we do here is every link in the email campaign will be tracked individually. So yeah, I can see exactly how many links how many clicks each one of these links are getting. This is really handy if clients are generating email newsletters based on posts as well, because you can start to see what type of content's actually getting people clicking through and maybe what's not working so well. You can also take this a step further and drill down and view a list of the contacts that clicked that link as well, and click through to their profile to see what other activity that they've done on the website. So, as I said before, Synergy 8 sits on a centralized customer database. There's no limit to the number of contacts that you can have in there. There's also no limit on the number of administrative users you can have in Synergy 8, and pricing doesn't scale based on the number of admin users that you have. So we actually have two-factor authentication going on administrative users, so they need to be putting their mobile phones in there. It's also with the changes logging, we'd like to know exactly who's responsible for what actions on the website. So if something goes wrong, you know which administrator might have made the mistake and you know what's gone on there. So every individual person has their own login that will be two-factored if we detect anything dodgy, like they suddenly log in on the other side of the world. And yeah, the pricing doesn't scale based on that. Something else that's come up a couple of times too for BC partners is we do give you control over security roles. So you do have the ability to specify that an admin account can only manipulate the marketing area of Synergy 8, for example, or maybe you can only edit marketing and commerce side of things. You can get more granular than that, but in order for users to actually get like practical use out of Synergy 8, you'll probably find that you give component-wide control to people and say, yeah, you can edit the customer database or and all of the components below it, or you can edit the marketing side of things and all of the components below it as well. So that's totally possible. It doesn't go super granular in saying something like you can only edit the homepage, but you do still have that control to say, you can edit pages on the website.
Just going back to it, so just to give a little bit of context into this contacts database. Basically, whenever a visitor on the site fills out a form, if they buy a product or if they interact in any way that we can capture their data, they'll be filed into this central contacts database. Then from there, every touch that they have with you starts to be recorded. So every session, every visit, they'll all start to be associated with that profile. Once you send out an email campaign as well, we'll also cookie that user, so that way, we'll basically be able to track their visits from the email campaign through to visiting the website, through to purchasing a product as well. So by having a centralized contact database, it gives you one sort of central list of your customers, and every touch that they have with you starts to be recorded as well. And that gives you the power then for really good segmentation and marketing on that customer database later.
So if I open up a contact record here, I can see all of the details that we've got stored on the system. I can easily place them into different groups. We have the ability for contacts to have public profiles. So if you're running things like business directories where you want contact records to just be displayed on the front end of the website, that's how that's normally achieved. You'll see all of the sales invoices that have been raised in here, whether those invoices have happened through an online sale or through the accounting software. You've also got a detailed activity feed of all of the touch points that you've had from them finding you on Google, through to clicking through a couple of pages, completing a form on the website, purchasing things, all that sort of stuff's all included in the activity feed. So after that email campaign goes out, instead of just seeing, okay, well, someone's clicked the link in that campaign, I can see yeah, all of the interactions that happen before and after that as well. You've also got a couple of basic CRM features built in for doing things like admin notes, logging a phone call, and setting follow-up reminder tasks to get back in touch with people as well. Synergy 8 does also integrate, as I said before, with accounting software. So if we go down to settings and apps, we can have that contact database synchronizing with the likes of Clinico, which is really popular with health and wellness, like physiotherapy studios, those type of clients that want to be taking online bookings and managing all of their contacts and like writing patient notes and that type of thing. It's quite a deep integration with a lot of these other apps. So doing things like sending emails based on when someone's last appointment was, for example. So we really get to know both suites so that we can build something really, really cool with the integrations. So we've got Clinico, MYOB. You can easily enable your SMS marketing. SimPro is an awesome solution for tradies if you're running those clients. And we've got Xero software here and Zoho CRM too. Over time, we really want to build out this, apps library side of things, offering more integrations and even having, third-party and paid apps added in here over time as well would be really, putting together a bit of an app marketplace. So on top of the standard contact database side of things, I've also got the ability to find duplicates, which will help us clean up the database by looking for contact records with the same name and a similar email address and that type of thing too, to merge those contacts together and keep a nice clean database. With the group side of things, you can create as many groups as you please. As I said before as well, you can use automation to file people into those groups, and you can also set page access based on those groups as well. So if I open up the automation side of things, most people use the automation side of Synergy 8 for marketing automation, really. So the idea is we're creating new automation here. I'll give it a title for my own reference. So I might say something like on lead form, maybe email, just for my own reference. I can then specify that upon an event, so any of these events that happen in the software, I then might have a follow-up workflow process. So that can be based on someone abandoning the shopping cart. I might trigger an event when someone purchases a certain product or purchases over $1 amount, for example. We can do a bit of a birthday club and send people an email on their birthday, come into the restaurant or whatever you're doing there. You can fire automation based on when someone is added or removed from a group. So that's really handy if you want to say, whenever I add a contact to this group, automatically send them an email, maybe wait 6 months and send them a follow-up, for example. You can do it when someone RSVPs to an event or when a form is submitted on the website. So I might say, when a sale is made, and then I get an extra couple of options per each event trigger that I select, where I'll say it can be any product on the store, the invoice has to be paid, and it needs to be at least $100. What I'm going to do then is maybe send an email to the customer. I can then wait a week and test to see if they have purchased a follow-up product or not. So if they have not purchased anything else, I'm going to send them a SMS or a email with a discount, for example.
It's basically a trigger workflow system. So the trigger would be an event that happens in the software, like a sale is being made of a certain type of product, and then that can execute a customizable workflow. Sending an email, waiting for like a week or two, testing to see if they have or haven't done something, and then sending them like an email or some other kind of promotion.
As I mentioned before as well, we have an optional events app. I won't dive super deep into the events side of things. The events app is really supposed to facilitate people RSVPing for events on the website. So it'll support paid or unpaid events, invite only or public events. You can specify when you create an event, maybe you restrict it by a certain number of attendees. You've got RSVP options like I can allow you to bring an alternate guest if I can't attend. There's 4 guests that are allowed to be brought along to the event with every registration. You can charge for the event as well, which will link it to a product in the e-commerce engine. And then, people will log onto the website and RSVP for things, and I can see, who's attending, who's not attending, print a guest list out, maybe print name tags and manually add people in as well. We also have a pretty cool reminders system that allows you to do things like, I want to send a reminder out to all attendees the day before the event, and this confirmation and a reminder to RSVP, for example. So a couple of clicks and you can have all that stuff set up, which is pretty awesome. It also hooks into the rest of the system, so I can say things like, maybe next time I run the event, I can send an email campaign to everyone who attended the past one. So that sort of stuff's pretty easy. So the next section is the commerce side of Synergy 8. We have a really varied audience of e-commerce customers. So that audience consists of not-for-profit, where e-commerce is accepting donations and that type of thing online. We have plenty of online stores that do like four-wheel drive accessories is a popular one, and that type of thing, where they'll just be running a high-volume online store. We've got customers that might not even be doing online transactions and just want a shop front of products online, where the user is, pushed towards making a contact inquiry is perfectly feasible. And we've also got people that might not even be running an online store. They're just using the commerce functionality of Synergy 8 to integrate with their accounting software so that they can be doing automation and things based on what's happening in the accounting software. So it is quite a varied amount of different industries and uses. One of the compliments we get about it quite a lot is the fact that it is super easy to use. So without much training at all, administrators non-technical people can come in here and add new products and set up their online store. So we've got, the architecture of the product side of things is basically on the online store you have a product. That product might be a pack where when you sell one product, you're selling multiple inventory items. You might have a product that is a t-shirt where people will see a t-shirt on the online store, but that t-shirt is available in red, blue, and green as different ordering options. And then depending on what ordering option you select, that decrements the right inventory item as well. You can have a product where purchasing that product takes out a number of inventory items as part of a pack. So maybe if I purchase a guitar pack, it takes down the inventory item of guitar stand, book, guitar, for example. We don't charge based on the number of products that you have in here either. So that's totally fine. Within your products as well, you put them into product categories, and you can define product brands too. So if I open up a product here, which is the guitar pack, I can define the title, the price, tick on which categories I want it to display on the online store, like guitars or acoustic guitars or that type of thing. You define a brand. You will upload an icon for the product. You can upload multiple images for a product as well. If you've coded up like a front-end display that has maybe a slideshow or multiple images for your product, you can upload multiple. You've also got the ability to set whether a product has, whether shipping is required or not, and you set a product description too. There's also a ton of other additional options around things like, this is the option thing I talked about before. So we might have it available in a different color, where we've got red, blue, and green, where red is selected by default, blue is an extra $10, and green is an extra $12. And these are the different inventory items that, those different colors are applied to. I can restrict products to only be visible to certain groups of the database as well. We've also got search engine optimized products. So you can override the page address of the product. You can override the search engine description of the product, and you can override the keywords used on that product display. We generate most of this stuff for people just to get them started and make sure that something is defined properly. But yeah, you can come in here and override this stuff nice and easily. You can also override tax as well if you need to. Define the different shipping dimensions of your products. And yeah, you've got access to that changes version control system in here as well to roll back changes on products. Is there anything else to add on products?
We might talk about some of the limitations on it as well,
Okay.
just to be clear about the types of e-commerce that we do. If you have a multi-warehouse environment, that's probably not our jam, and you're probably looking for something more like Magento. Once it starts getting super complex with like inventory and multi-warehousing, that sort of stuff, it's probably not the best fit for us because we don't go that deep into it. We do have products, multiple categories, brands, fair few shipping options and payment gateways and things like that as well. We've got basic inventory, no multiple warehousing at this stage. And I'm not sure that we actually want to get too deep into that yet either. So that's probably a feature that's very distant on the roadmap.
Another one that comes up quite a bit as well is multi-currency support. So Synergy 8 supports all your different currencies, but there needs to be one
system currency.
Yeah. So yeah, we're quite heavily used. There's a couple of clients over in Europe that are operating quite successfully over there. But yeah, as I said, one single currency there.
In terms of accepting payment, we don't charge any transaction fees for your standard e-commerce environment. So, obviously you'll have to pay. Like if you're in Australia, you can connect it up to eWay, Stripe, PayPal. We've got a fair few payment gateways there. If you do need a payment gateway specifically developed, we can take a look at that and look at implementing that as well. So no transaction fees. For the recurring billing side of things, that is an additional app that you enable, and we do charge, I think it's 0.5% for that one.
Yeah. So if you've got a website where people are doing recurring billing, so maybe memberships or a recurring product where Synergy 8 needs to invoice and run payment on those ones, we've got a recurring billing app that's optional in our software that clips 0.5% of invoices generated by the recurring billing engine if you're doing that. Synergy has a full sales invoicing engine built in that will invoice customers, and you've got a little bit of fulfillment handling on this stuff as well. You can this becomes particularly nice with the accounting integration side of things as well. So those sales invoices can push through to the accounting software quite nicely. So as a bit of an example of what a lot of Xero users will be doing is actually, and the mild ones as well, you'll have your accounting software hooked up to your bank feed and offer direct bank transfer as a payment method. So when someone purchases something on the online store, that'll raise an invoice that's unpaid in the system. The user will then be given bank transfer details. They'll transfer into your bank account. That'll be picked up by the accounting software, reconciled back in, and then marked as paid, and then you can ship your product off or fulfill that properly.
We do a really awesome two-way sync with Xero accounting software, where all of the invoices, all of the customers, and the payments as well will basically just automatically all reconcile against each other, and it works pretty well.
We've also got a very flexible discount engine. This came up with a couple of BC partners I found wanting to run discounts on things. So if I create a new discount here, you've got a title that you'll give the discount. I can target this discount. So I might say, as an example, this is a $15 off discount. I'll just give it a title here. So Christmas sale. So $10 off. You can then specify whether it applies to the whole cart or to specific products or product categories, for example. So as an example, I might say, I want to give $15 off to only these specific products under this category. And then I want to restrict that discount to something to do with the conditions engine again. So I might say you can only get that discount if you have purchased another separate product in the past, or if you have clicked a link in an email where I sent a discount code, or if you have submitted a form, for example. And then, yeah, you can stack this stuff up as well, which is pretty cool. Something else that's not enabled in the demo environment, actually, that's worthwhile mentioning is we have a optional affiliate tracking app that basically allows you to track. So you create affiliates in our system, and then you give those affiliates a link, and then you can basically track how many sales, new customers, and website visits have happened because of that affiliate. And we've got like a little control panel for managing whether you've paid them or not, and that type of thing too. So that's pretty cool. As far as the other settings of the website goes, we've got a little domain control panel for I guess setting up multiple domains in the same website and putting them to different pages. You can do things like if you've got customers running Office 365 or Gmail, you've got full control over MX configuration and looking at your DNS records in there too. We've got a pretty awesome go live wizard for getting clients' websites live and walking them through that process.
Just because a lot of our audience is particularly technical, we might just go into the domains. If you just open that domain record there. So once you have a domain name parked onto Synergy 8, it'll basically come up with letting you know what the current name server configuration is and what our recommended configuration is. We'll then give you a list of all of the DNS records as they're currently configured. And then if you want to set up, say, like Office 365 or Gmail, you can basically just simply click those buttons and it will, give you a list of all of the changes that it's going to make. And, it's a one-click process to, set up Office 365 or Gmail. So you have complete control over the entire DNS. And you can park as many domains as you want as well. Once you park a domain and it's been activated, we'll also automatically install an SSL certificate on it as well. SSL certificates are included without cost, and it's just basically an automatic provisioning process once that domain is live. You can also park what's called sub-site domains. So when you park a domain name, you can either just tell it to redirect to the primary domain, you can redirect a domain to a specific page, or you can host a sub-site. We charge $9 a month for a sub-site. When you park that, it'll actually create a brand new pages tree in here where it will say like my domain, and then it'll have additional pages under it. So the way we work there is there's one master website for the account, and then within that account you can have additional domains that have their own sub-sites and pages underneath that as well. Yeah, so that's a bit on the domain side of things. In terms of email accounts, we do support hosted email accounts. Generally though, the preferred solution is probably to use something like Gmail or Office 365. We basically provide, just a standard IMAP type inbox and, webmail support, and it's nothing really that fancy, but yeah, generally the preferred option is to use a third-party email service. But yeah, we know that a lot of clients do also have objections with that and want their email hosted with their site as well. So we do offer that as a service. Let's get back.
Okay, well, I mean, that's a good sales type overview of Synergy 8. So the next section, what we might look at is how the templating side of things works. So if I go into the design section, you can import and export Synergy 8 website designs. So if you've got, as I was saying, you can import and export designs between your different sites. So if you've got a couple of design templates that you normally use, it's totally fine for you to be copying or importing and exporting them out between your different sites. Importing and exporting also works with page structure. So if you've got pages that you want to import and export between your sites, that's possible, as well as email campaigns as well. So if you want to quickly import and export campaigns between sites, that's totally possible. So you basically define a default design for the web to be used as the website design. So if I click on, let's click on, maybe we'll go with the coal white one, I reckon, yeah. So this is like as I said before, this is the Bootstrap 3, like very boilerplate type template that I see a lot of people using. So opening up the source side of things here, you can see that we've got a very standard like HTML document in here. So we've got, yeah, a bit of a doc type, head, titles inserted by the website page. I'm including Bootstrap 3 in there as well. You'll notice that I'm referencing attached media. So every website design template basically has a media folder associated with it. So that's located in the big Synergy 8 media folder in website designs, followed by the website design ID. And then I've got a couple of extra folders that I've set up. As I said before, you can upload zip files in there as well. If you've got like a zip document that's got CSS files and JavaScript and images and things in there, you can upload that into the media folder and then extract it out. You've got the ability to, I've got my CSS sitting up in the top of the head here. It's kind of on your discretion where you want that CSS. You might roll a external CSS style sheet that you've uploaded into the media here. Personally, I don't run them anymore because of Chrome's latest caching annoyance, where if you have an external style sheet, you need to worry about your cache. So I normally do, especially in development stages, write my CSS in the head. The other thing that you can do here is grab your CSS out of the top of this document if I wanted to, and you could stick it across into this CSS tab as well. So that does the same thing. So the CSS that's included in there is basically included in the head of the design template anyway. Same goes for JavaScript and PHP. So if I wanted to run some write some custom PHP in here. So let's say I wanted, when a form is submitted, I wanted to write a little PHP function in here that gets run as soon as that form is submitted. That would be possible. Maybe I want some PHP to run when someone clicks a link, or maybe I want to do a logic test that only displays a certain block depending on a PHP function that you've written. That's all totally possible.
The idea with the JavaScript and PHP tabs is really so that you can write functions in those tabs and then call them from the front end. So maybe you need like a little bit of extra stuff that's like an on-click function to, I don't know, expand a little bit of content or do something a little bit fancy. You could write a little function in the JS tab and then just simply invoke that from the front end HTML.
You'll see here as well, we've got a navigation bar, like standard spec Bootstrap 3 navigation bar up on the top. So that's pretty standard. What's not standard is this weird looking SS navigation primary tag here. So this is the Synergy 8, the Synergy 8 framework that we're looking at here. So we have our own language for, doing dynamic tags for the navigation menu, for example. I've got a tag here doing a logic test. And you've got a couple of other tags for doing things like forms and that type of thing as well. In my experience, especially anyone that's dealt with another, is a CMS developer, regardless of what platform you're working on, you'll pick it up very quickly. It's really intuitive the way that it works, and it puts so much power in your hands, ready to play around with. So with the SS primary navigation tag as an example, this generates an unordered list based on the pages in the dashboard, so the user can add new pages and stuff to the navigation menu. Got bootstrap equals true on there, so that it'll put the bootstrap classes in there for me. And then, I can specify standard HTML classes on this that I want to appear on that unordered list that gets parsed out as well. And I've got an attribute that says auto-populate it 2 levels down the sitemap structure. And I want you to stick a class called active on list items where that reflects the current page. So that type of stuff. As soon as you've got your head around a couple of our really common tags like navigation, forms, and logic, probably the other one's data repeater, which is a for loop that does things like grabbing all posts of a certain category or grabbing all products of a certain category. As soon as you get your head around that stuff, you'll be laughing. It's really, really easy to jump in and implement cool things. as another example of a common tag, we've got this SS regions content tag. This basically defines the editable page content area. So what I've done here is I've said, I've got a logic statement that says if the current page ID is equal to the home page, the only thing that I'm including is the editable region so that the client can come in and edit anything on that page. If this test doesn't pass, I've got an SS logic else test. So if this case, do this, else, if the current page ID is the blog, I've got a different layout that I've defined that's doing things like grabbing the page title, showing some breadcrumbs, and then I have the content region that's editable is in a bit of a container with a grey background and some other things.
Basically, the premise of our framework here is to extend HTML with additional tags that, I guess, give more power to both coders and content authors as well. So as an example, you know, like HTML is really hard to manipulate for things like, I don't know, like even just like an image, for instance. You know, like you can have just the img tag, but if you want to have an image that, I don't know, has some extra stuff on it, like maybe the responsive background trick that you can do, we can actually empower an end user to create like a responsive cropping image by you know, simply dragging and dropping the image and manipulating it, and then having one of our tags add more power to it for, you know, doing that responsive bit of JavaScript and you know, extending it in a few ways. So I guess with the tagging stuff, we're keeping it as HTML, but then extending it where you want it extended. Our tags are pretty much optional, except for, you know, the obvious one being the content region. But yeah, if you do want to use them for, like, you know, breadcrumbs or having dynamic navigation, got a few other ones like rotators and things like that. Yeah, you can certainly use them and get like a lot of extra, you know, power and functionality out of it.
The next thing that I wanted to have a quick chat about as well is overriding system pages and custom fields. So on the contact side of things, maybe I want to store an extra, here we go. So maybe what I want to do here is say, with the contacts database, in addition to the standard fields that Synergy8 ships with, I also want to configure some extra custom fields. In this, you know, in this example, I've configured an extra field on contact records for the file number, for example. And that means that when a contact comes in and, when a user comes in and edits their information, they've got that extra custom field that's in there. So that custom field structure goes through to pages. So I can put extra custom fields on pages. So maybe I want an extra option in that settings tab when I edit a page. Maybe I want an extra option in there that's like an integer or a little bit of information or a file upload, for example. That's entirely possible. Potentially with my posts. As I said before, maybe I have a company that's displaying posts as properties. So what I would probably do there is set up a custom field on my posts where I'm giving that a price. I can define the data type, whether that's just like a number, for example. Otherwise, I could, if I wanted to, do things like checkboxes, radio buttons. I can link this post to a product or link it to a contact record, for example. So in this example of a price, I would probably just have a number. I can specify whether it's mandatory that when people create posts, they specify this or not. And then I'd hit save field there as well. That would then appear when a user edits the post side of things. They would be able to see in here, you know, product price, for example, and be able to define that. And then when I code up the front end display, I can I can add that field in there so that when the posts are rendered out, it has the price on there properly as well.
So you can use those custom fields, I guess, to add additional metadata to posts or customer lists, anything like that, and then use our data repeaters on the templating side of things to pull those tags out, those extra fields, and display them however you want.
The other thing that you have the ability to do, we don't encourage it a huge amount, and I'll explain why, but something else that you can do is override system pages. So the most common use case for this is when a client's paying you to write a custom product display, as an example. So the way that products are displayed on the online store, you're going to customize that. So in order to do that, what we do is we open up the page editor, and we can trick it by typing in whatever page ID we want. So in this case, I might go products. So this is the system page that's used to render out products on the Synergy 8 side of things. So we have a little message that pops up when you edit this page that basically alerts you to the fact that you are overriding a system page. So when you save that override, maybe I've got like a custom display that I want to use for how products are rendered on the store. That's how you go about doing that. When you override a system page, it basically means that when our update script runs, it isn't included in that update so much. So it's a little bit more of an admin, I guess, burden on you to make sure that that system page stays updated, and if any issues arise, then you check it out. We're still here to help you out, obviously, if you've got questions or if any issues arise from it. That's how system pages and things are overwritten. Further on down the course of Synergy 8, what we do want to do is offer some really good, I guess, standard templates for doing a lot of that stuff. So instead of requiring that you would maybe use a really customized product display for all of your clients, instead we want more dynamic templates in here that allow you to select from a couple of different options how you want the product side of things to work. And we do want to make that generic enough that it'll work in a pretty generic use case. We already have this working with posts. So if I go into post list display here, it's going to open up properly for me.
So it has in posts.
True, fair enough. So maybe not in the demo account, but yeah, it basically will show you how that display looks, and then you'll be able to choose from a couple of different display options. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is page galleries, for example, as an example of a pretty common web app that you might be dropping into your site. You'll probably find that with the more simple end of town for some of your web apps, you just implement those functionalities in Synergy 8 in a different way. So as an example of a web gallery, instead of, having a web app down here that allows the user to put images on the site, the way I normally tackle that problem is when a user edits a page, in the media panel, I basically drop a folder in here called gallery, and then drop a little bit of code on this page that says grab all of the, uses a data repeater, to grab all of the images out of that folder and display them in a gallery layout. So then the user can come on and create and manage, I guess, the images in that gallery. The other alternatives of doing that, if you want your images in a gallery to have like a description and a title and be a little bit more, have more data about them, you can just use posts, where you'd set up a post category for gallery, and then set up a custom display on those posts for gallery items is totally possible as well. So I do expect that new Business Catalyst customers will have partners will have plenty of questions for me about how to implement what they've been doing with web apps in a different way in Synergy 8. And totally happy to spend the time walking through how all that stuff works as well to make sure that you get comfortable. In scenarios where it's not going to work, it's a case that we'll know straight away and be able to tell you, this web app isn't, a good fit with Synergy 8. This is why. If it is something that is, vital for the client, they're totally sold on Synergy 8 and, really enthusiastic to use it, then we can issue you a quote on developing out, custom functionality of Synergy 8, like integrations and that type of thing as well.
just being a bit conscious of time because it is getting a bit late.
It is.
We might just have a bit of a chat about the reseller program that we offer. So basically, I think a common question that's come from a lot of BC partners already is, do you white label? The answer to that is definitely not. We've kind of had we did experiment with that with a few partners back in a couple of years ago, but unfortunately we had one of them in particular that just totally disappeared on us, and they had all of their clients being billed through them, and it was totally rebranded through them, and that put us in this really awkward position where that middle person disappeared, and we had to basically go and call all of their clients and reestablish a relationship and a billing arrangement with them. And I think when we look at it, it's just cleaner, and it's no smoke and mirrors. You are using Synergy, regardless of whether you rebrand it or not. For it not to be a rebranded product, we offer a percentage commission based on the number of clients that you have, and if you are big enough, we will let you bill your clients as well. So when you are a reseller, what you will get, I'll just show you a bit of a test portal for that. What you'll get is basically a user interface that looks like this. You'll be able to see all of your all of your clients here. You'll also be able to, edit their account, visit their site, log straight into their admin panel, view all of their invoices. If you open one of them up, it'll basically look something like this, where you'll see, okay, this is their account details, this is all of their their location, what plan they're on, that kind of stuff. And then if you wanted to create a new website, just click New Website, fill in those details, and they'll appear as a new client in here. I guess this is similar to, I think, the partner console that BC offers. So when we are billing the client, you'll get a commission that you can view in here. You'll see all of your clients' invoices in here, and then you can request the payment and view your payment history as well. We pay out once your account has reached $100. I think the BC minimum is $500 from my memory. You also have the ability to create new administrators. So the administrators from within your reseller console gain complete access to all of your clients' accounts. So for instance, maybe you bring on a new employee. You can create them as a new administrator in here, and they will gain access to all of your clients' accounts. And then say if you have an employee leave, you can remove them from being an administrator, and they'll no longer have access. With what Alex was saying before as well, all of the administrator accounts have two-factor authentication on them. So if you go to a different location and try to log in, we'll basically ping you with a little SMS that you'll have to enter the code to gain access. So we've never had an account hacked, and hopefully never will. We're very, very serious about security in the hosting environment that we have. We can go into some of those questions if you'd like as well. What I'll do, if you're interested in becoming a reseller, I will send you out an email after this, and that'll have a link to a form that you can fill in. If you fill that one in, they'll basically ask you to sign the agreement as well. And then we'll set you up with a reseller account where you can then go in and create accounts for your clients. We're really, really dedicated to supporting our partners as well. So, if you do have any questions and concerns around, when you set up the account, what next, we can certainly help you with those things. Feel free to reach out and, hammer us with questions on those sort of things. We might go into the chat now because,
Let's have a look. So Jim's asking, are the side panels editable? For example, the form on the right in your demo. So I think what Jim means by that. Yeah, so the way that this works, remember in the design template side of things, you just find that editable content region.
Yeah.
I guess that this content from the homepage is what goes there in the context of the design template. So it's on I guess this actually illustrates a pretty good point. So in the Coal White template, I've made basically the whole thing editable. So all of those sections on the homepage are editable, and I'm happy for the client to come in and change images and mess around with it. Whereas on the demo side, I've basically put the editable content region in this small boxed area here, because I only want the client to be able to come in and edit this side of things. So that's like a design decision that's being made on that one there. And maybe I let the client edit other items in a different way, for example. Like I might say, set up a product category called on sale now, where any products that are in that category display in this area. So they're only putting products in that category rather than having to play around with the display itself. And yeah, especially in a case like this where the only thing I really want the client to be able to edit is this tiny item on the page, that's where you do something like that. We're seeing more and more sites don't implement it like this and actually do implement it like this second example that I've got here, where the client has a little bit more ability to change and update things.
With our new editor that we've released, it's actually a lot more flexible with the, I guess, HTML and things that it can edit. So that Musos Direct initial example, the content region is a very, very, I guess, restricted box. But in this example here, the content region is full width and it expands across the entire thing. And yeah, that design decision has been made to allow, the entire area to be edited.
Okay. Yeah. So so this form, this would be in the design template. So if I go into the design template here, so here we've got our editable content region. And if I open up the source code, you'll see that as well. So yeah, so I've got the editable content region sitting in this small part of code here in that box. And then to the right of it, I've got a contact inquiry form. And the contact inquiry form is using Synergy 8's tag language here. You do some cool things like specify where it goes on, redirect. So after the submission is completed, where to redirect the user to. Maybe I automatically want to send a message after it, that type of things. Yeah, that type of thing's easy to code in here as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something that we definitely want to avoid, because yeah, we don't really want to be storing card numbers, except for if they're doing recurring payments and subscriptions. So with that in mind, what happens is you have the standard credit card payment method, which will charge the customer in real time via a payment gateway. And we've got a lot of different options there, like eWay, Stripe, Secure Pay, yeah, a whole lot of different ones there. And we're going to build that out even more over time. We have also the option of credit card where the customer phones the seller or the seller phones the customer. So what would happen in those cases there is when someone submits the order, they will be prompted to say, hey, can you call this number to give us your credit card details? It's not used that commonly. It's only used where people don't want to pay for like an extra merchant facility, and also maybe as a secondary payment method where some customers might, like maybe they have an older demographic or something like that, and the customer might want to phone the merchant rather than just entering it on the website itself. They're the main use cases for that. So yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah, that's the reason for that is around the sending of credit card data. So it's a breach of compliance on Synergy 8's part to be sending credit card data via an insecure source. So that's the main reason why we don't do that one.
Yeah, it's also not really a good idea to have merchants, collecting thousands of card numbers that are accessible at any stage, and there's just security implications written all over that. So It's better to, like, when we accept payment through one of the gateways, we just simply hand those card details over to the gateway and it gets processed in real time. Otherwise, if you're using one of the customer phones or seller phones options, the customer, then there has to be an actual phone call for that to take place. We don't capture the card data.
So the next one that we've got here is Simon. Good old Simon's been, he's got a nice number of these. So let's roll through a couple of these. So is there HTTP access or some type of system for redirects?
So we're talking about the .ht access file there, which is normally used by Apache. So no, we don't give access to the .ht access file. But what we do instead is we give you a nice little portal for handling all of the redirectors that you want. So if you just come into to pages up the left-hand side here, up the top we've got an option here for redirectors. You can create a new redirector and have a source location on your website and then where it points to, which it might be, you know, the destination, whether it's on your site or somewhere else. And you can control whether it's 301 or 302, and you can give it an automatic expiry as well so that it build up over time. Another really cool thing is if you actually rename or move a page's location, we'll actually create one of those redirectors automatically for you. So if we change like about to about us,
I don't think I can because it's a demo, but yeah, that will actually, so if I had the client change my about page, if it's being renamed to the address about us, that would automatically create a redirector.
Okay, can you drip email campaigns? So that would normally be done with the automation tool. So what we would do there is basically create a new automation, give it a bit of a title, and then we would say upon when a, can you smooth that thing?
Yeah, so we'd go something like upon when a form is submitted, or maybe sometimes I like to do like when a contact is added to a group, I would say something like, you know, when it's added to this group, step 1 will be to send an email to the customer. Step 2 would be, you know, in a lot of cases it's wait, you know, a month or a week or whatever, you know, send that next email and then so on and so forth. And you can test and, you know, end as well if maybe people click a link or do something differently, on that side of things too.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, next question, also from Simon. Yeah, we found that Business Catalyst.
So Simon's question is, we found that Business Catalyst analytics weren't that great, especially when compared to Google Analytics. We have had clients ask about the discrepancies. How accurate are the analytics in Synergy? It's probably a pretty good question, actually.
Okay, so Google Analytics obviously goes very deep in, you know, how I guess segmented you can bring up the data. With our stuff, we're just really trying to, you know, keep your finger on the pulse as to what's happening, you know, in real time. I'll just give a quick sort of overview. So, you know, you have the most common things that you can view, you know, how many sessions, that kind of stuff, where traffic's coming from, where they're landing, you know, and basically the main analytics that you want to have. We also have a thing called current sessions. This is our demo account, so it doesn't have anything too much going on, and it's just fake data. But you'll actually see in real time what's happening. So if you do an email marketing campaign, you'll be able to see here current sessions, you know, personalized information about which people are visiting the site right now. They'll be updating in real time, what products they're viewing, every touch that they're having basically on the website. So I mean, it's not as good as Google Analytics in terms of the detail, but it'll do, you know, 99% of what you want at your fingertips there.
My normal kind of response to clients when that question comes up is that I guess Synergy 8's quite accurate for, Scott said, keeping your finger on the pulse and seeing, you know, fluctuations in traffic and how that's affected by email and stuff. The Google Webmaster Tools side of things is really easy to set up with Synergy 8 anyway. A lot of people still have it set up for search engine optimization purposes. But I mean, the nicest thing about analytics is really its accessibility. So for business owners, just to be able to click 2 buttons and see the analytics on their website, it's so much more accessible. It's actionable. They can do stuff based on it, and they don't have to be fumbling around. So, yeah, in that regard, it's a pretty cool little feature, I think.
We also scrub out all of the bots. So we look for some kind of human interaction that occurs. So whether that be like a bit of a mouse movement or, a bit of like a touch action as well, we'll kind of map that into some of our heuristics for determining whether the person's actually real or a bot hitting the site.
So the next question that we've got here is, we've got is email hosted through Synergy 8? So coming back to the answer for that one is optionally. There is a bit of a control panel for creating email addresses and doing webmail and that sort of stuff, but clients have very transparent. Clients have a better experience doing Google, like Gmail and Office 365. So that's not something that Synergy 8 sets up. So I can't be like going in and setting up people's Google accounts in 365 and stuff. Partners are relied upon for that, whether it's the web designer that's taking care of the client, or whether it's an IT partner that comes and sorts out their email and stuff for them. But the clients that don't want that Office 365 or Gmail, we do optionally host email as well.
Another question there is, can we connect to other apps through the API? So we have a bit of an app store that we're building out. So we've got integrations with a fair few common apps, especially here in Australia, being Xero and MWeb Account Right Live. For healthcare people, we've got Clinico. For tradies, we've got SimPro. We've also got Zoho as well. So we do a pretty good deep sync with a lot of those pieces of software. In terms of the API as well, through PHP on your site, you can make calls to certain things. So like if you have a page, for instance, that you want to, maybe when a button is clicked or something like that, you want to mark some, or maybe add a contact to a group when a button is clicked or something like that. You do have programmatic access through our APIs on the page to do whatever you need to do there, and that's pretty fleshed out. What we're going to be building soon, probably 6 months, I would say, we'll have a public REST API as well with authentication. We don't have that just yet because we're kind of like still developing some of the core things. So we want the ability to refactor and make changes before being too coupled with other bits of software. But that is coming in the future.
All right, so we've got Steve asking, does it recognize Foundation and the CSS stored globally or on a page? So Foundation will be totally fine. I haven't played around with Foundation for a little while. It's a cool framework though, but yeah, I haven't played around with it in a while, but yeah, I would pretty comfortably say it'll be totally, it'll be totally compatible with what you're doing. I might keep that here. Here we go. So yeah, it's totally compatible, I think, with that one there. And yeah, as you saw, you can specify whether CSS is, I guess, in the design template and across all of the pages, or just set on, specific pages as well. Do you have PCI compliance? That actually comes back to Jim's previous question about how we handle credit card data as well. So, the answer to that PCI compliance question basically falls on the payment gateway that you're using. Synergy 8 doesn't store credit card data. I believe if you're using PCI compliant, one of the PCI compliant payment gateway options that we give you, then it's in that case it's compliant.
So you'll be PCI compliant when you use a PCI compliant gateway. What we do there, like say with Stripe for instance, is all of the card data will be handled by Stripe, and we don't touch the card data. We just handle the encryption, I guess, token for it. Pass that over to Stripe, and then Stripe does the collection of the card data and payment. So we become completely hands-off in terms of storage and even transmission of card data.
So Posts can provide BC web app type functionality. Yeah, so as I said before, people will probably leverage Posts, I think, and page media to accomplish quite a few things that they were doing with web apps. Events registration seems to be pretty popular amongst BC partners, I've noticed as well, and that's covered by a professionally done free app that works really, really well with all of the other components of our system too. So yeah, that should and anything else, as I said, totally happy to suss any other web apps out with you to work out whether it's going to work or not. Can you import and send to the CRM system? With the contacts database side of things, we do have the ability to import contacts by CSV. It's actually quite a nice little wizard for setting up contact fields and making sure that the different columns in your CSV file are going to the right place, and it'll do some data cleaning on like invalid email addresses and that type of thing. And you've got some pretty cool tools for doing like deduplication of contact records and that type of stuff as well, which is pretty neat.
It'll also intelligently map all of the fields in your CSV as well. So when you upload your CSV file, it'll automatically map, first name, last name, and store those settings as well. So that way, on subsequent imports, you won't have to constantly remap all of the CSV. You can also import into a group as well, to perhaps create a custom list. Okay, next question. So what currencies do you include, and where are the data centers? Okay, so currencies, we basically support every currency in the world. In terms of payment gateways, we're still building them out, and we unfortunately don't have DPS Payment Express as one yet. But if you have a client for it, we can probably knock that out within like 3-4 weeks. So if you give us a client and use case for developing it, we'll integrations with payment gateways are usually fairly straightforward. We've done it in an abstract way, so it's pretty easy to get them set up. So if you do have a client for us, and give us a little bit of notice, we'll get that done probably 3 to 4 weeks for you.
We have a question from Steve about where our data centers are located as well.
Yep, so basically in terms of the hosting infrastructure, it's presently all here in Australia. It's fully redundant and backed up to Sydney. We've got multiple levels of firewalls. So we've got standard firewall, IDS, intrusion detection stuff, web application firewall, basically enterprise gear, all top quality, and it's fully backed up down to Sydney via a layer 2 link as well. So it's about as good as you can get. It's not AWS, and it's all of our own stuff, but it's all securely. Yeah, it's better in some ways. It's certainly fast as well. We also support HTTP2 and QUIC, which is basically a negotiation method over UDP. And it's what Google uses for their transmission. So things are really fast and snappy. Okay, can you import products via a CSV? We do have a little CSV import tool for products. It's a little bit janky though.
Janky.
Yeah, you can get to just via /import actually on the top there.
It's hidden away.
Yeah, so it's an import tool. It's not the best because, to be honest, CSVs of products are usually pretty poorly formatted as well. We generally recommend having a lot of manual work done on product listings because not all of the data is going to map perfectly into what a CSV will come into the product catalog. So for instance, maybe you have different categories that a product belongs to. It can be a little bit tricky. So there's always going to be a fair bit of manual stuff over the top of that.
I do understand that there's going to be a hell of a lot of BC partners with clients that have a lot of products that if Synergy gets a good fit, are going to be wanting to move all those product catalogs across to us. If I would probably be asking questions like, with that CSV file, is it going to take the same amount of time to format the damn thing and get it in a good format and then import it, or am I just going to be able to am I just going to be able to smash out creating these products as quickly as possible? It's a pretty quick, snappy system, and you might find that's the case, and you're better off just outsourcing some data entry and getting someone to do it in there. Otherwise, talk to us. We'll help you out wherever we can and suggest the best course of action and stuff there as well. So the next question that we've got is, can discounts be a percentage? They sure can, Paul. So that's, instead of like when you set a discount up, if you go to settings, if you go into discounts here, when you create a new discount, you have the ability to go flat rate, percentage off, or offer free shipping on that one as well. You can also do like coupon codes and that type of thing, which I don't think I mentioned before too. Customizable commerce and customer notifications.
Yep.
So that's possible. Yeah.
Yep. So when an order is made, the client will be sent a invoice with a email. The default email design will be used as the wrapping template for that email. And as an administrator, you'll also get the notification of that order as well. When you ship a product out as well, we can also send the tracking code to that customer as well. As an automatic notification.
Okay. Might cover these other stuff and then. So Bo from Code Artists asked if we can touch on SMS marketing a little bit more, because that's not a feature in Business Catalyst. So what we might do is, I think I'll answer the rest of the questions and then I'll run through a quick demo of SMS marketing. GitHub integration. So that's.
So we don't have a GitHub integration. You would have to basically paste or upload your files and HTML into our stuff via the web interface. But every change that's made from within Synergate is tracked and stored in the settings changes area, and you can roll back on them as well.
Oh, true. Okay, right. So sorry, I should read this out loud. So Andy's talking about subsites and that being a way that BC customers have been allowing multi-currencies with subsites. That won't be compatible though, because you can only have per subsites. So all of the subsites share the same system pages. So that's a little bit of a restriction there. So same unsubscribe page, for example, same product catalog. It has to be, unless you use pages to do products. Is probably a trick around that. But if it's like, the cart process is one, it needs to run off the primary site. So unfortunately that won't be a way around that. I had a pretty big project scoped with an international e-commerce where they were looking at multi-currency, and the way that we were going to go ahead with that was basically separate websites, unfortunately. So it's totally separate Synergate accounts. And I was going to be kind about saying that they were putting on like 5 countries. So we were going to give them a reseller rate on something like that.
What was I going to say? With the when an international visitor comes to your site, we will do a currency conversion, and it will say, like, say your shop is in Australia, that someone's visiting from, the US. We will always charge in the Australian dollar because that's the system currency that's configured on the site. But the visitor will get a little label underneath the price that says, it's $100 approximately, 85 US dollars. So it'll basically do a real-time currency conversion and show you what the approximate rate is. But it won't charge in US dollars or cross currencies.
Oh, thanks, Andy. Andy said, guys, I did not expect this to be this impressed. Really, really awesome. There's only a few things that would be nice to have, but you ticked way more boxes than I expected. And he's run off. But that's really nice. It's awesome to hear something like that. So thanks. Is there a form builder or equivalent by Craig?
A drag and drop version is coming very soon. We've actually developed it, but it's got some bugs and things that we need to iron out first. But the way the forms work at the moment is just using the tags. So you can just chuck a Synergy form row or combo box, whatever you want to have in there. We've got certain tags for doing all of that. You can dump them into your page and they'll basically all be fully hooked up with our form submission, handling and emailing, all that kind of stuff. So it's not visual at this point, but you can just do it with the tags to do it.
With how easy the split source works,
it's very simple.
You'll have no problem whatsoever putting forms in there. It's just we're trying to give users the ability, non-technical users, the ability to do that. I've trained some non-technical people on how to implement pretty complex forms as well, because of how easy the editor is to use as well. Yep. So, form builder's on the way. Documentation, Paul. Paul's basically asked about whether we have much in the form of documentation. So we've got a help site. It's help.synergy8.com. So that's got a whole lot of user, I guess, help article side of things. We've got a very limited, web designer or reseller documentation on how to do a lot of this stuff.
Some of it's a little bit out of date. It's coming soon though, so it's something we're going to really be building out.
A lot of it does live in me and Scott's heads. We're going to get it out of our heads and record it in video form soon. Plenty of tutorials, and we're quite happy to throw a template into your account for you to play around with. Sometimes it's perfectly fine for you just to see that cold white template and see some of the stuff that's in there. I'm happy for that to be in your account and you have a play around with that to get a little bit more comfortable too.
And we're here to support you as well. So if there's something that you're having trouble with, we can just let us know and we can help you out. Okay, migration tools from Business Catalyst to Synergy 8. That's something actually we're going to, if there's enough interest, we're going to start looking at pretty heavily. Maybe it might be in the, we can also already do a WordPress post import from a public scrape, and we might look at doing that with BC as well. It's something that we're going to consider if there's enough demand for it, for sure.
I would probably say in the terms of migrations as well, guys, if you've got sites that are out of date and need a design refresh anyway, in the amount of time it takes you to mess around with a migration, you'll be able to get a website template on Synergy 8 rebranded with the client on a responsive site set up, ready to go in the same amount of time. So I would probably consider that as an option too.
Yeah, there'll always be a bit of manual process there, regardless of what processes we take there, because the systems are quite different and the data behind them will be different as well, and the approach that you need to take with certain things will be different. So
the owners asked a pretty standard question that's been coming up quite a bit with some of the BC partners, because I know a lot of the web apps allowed users to submit data, which was then stored in a database table, and then you could render that out. Okay. So on things like people having an ad that's pushed across multiple websites or something like that, unfortunately, that's not going to be possible on Synergy 8 as far as the web app side of things goes. You can get very close to it in some cases. So I've done member directory displays where the contact record is displayed on the front end. You can have form submissions display on the front end as well, but it's a little bit restrictive around kind of what you can do with it. User submitted posts, can they be upgradable via payment? I would probably say that sounds like a custom component of Synergy 8, and I'm okay with investigating with that with you. But if you come across a platform that does allow that in a really easy way, I think due diligence wise, it'd be better off to go with that.
Okay, this is an interesting question from Paul Host, and I think I said that correctly. What's to stop a big corporation like Adobe coming to you and offering lots of money to buy you out and then deciding to kill the product a few years later, like what happened to BC? Okay, so look, that is, I guess, it's I don't think there's going to be anything that I can say that will, necessarily 100%, reassure you of that. We've got a really dedicated, committed team here. So we're really trying to build the best product in the world and, for digital marketing. And that is our priority. And, us making money, that kind of comes secondary when we have a good product. And, we've proven that because we have, really, really loyal clients to date who love our stuff and love what we're doing. And, we're, just keeping on scaling up, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, I don't think I can, tell you anything that's going to super comfort you there. We ultimately might, sell the business at some point. But our goal really is to scale up rather than sell out. So I hope that answers the question there for you. But yeah, to be honest, it's always going to be a bit of a risk when you go into any product that it does eventually go into the hands of someone else. But our main priority is really to to build the product as best we can and scale that up rather than to sell out.
I don't think Adobe would be on the top list of people we would let buy Synergy at this point.
Yeah. I would really hope that if we did sell it, I'd still like to be involved in this business because I love it. And I would hope that it's not a sellout case and extinguish, but rather it becomes bigger and better. And yeah, I wouldn't want to sell to anyone who would take it and kill it over time as well. Yeah, I mean, okay, so another question here is, forthcoming REST interface will allow creating an alternative to FTP so you can edit HTML in your favorite code editor. At the moment, you would have to use your code editor offline and then copy and paste that code into Synergy 8's code editor and save it. I guess in the future, there would be no problem with writing a plugin or something like that that synchronizes that data. Okay, talking about subsites, I assume you're not meaning different client sites, but rather a subsite within a single client's website. Our policy with that is normally the subsites are for, sub-marketing satellite sites. It doesn't have to be a subdomain, but it can be. So you can make a subsite a subdomain, but you could also make like a subsite that's like a marketing site for a particular product and then link that site back to the main website. With the subsites, they're presently for content only. You can't have a full online catalog on the subsite. It's just really a new hierarchy of pages. A new hierarchy of pages under a different domain that you can manage from the one interface.
People really often use it for marketing purposes, or maybe they've got a different business wing. So maybe they've got like a marketing section and a finance section, or a couple of different wings of the business where they'll each have different like branding on the website, but it's still the same single contact database and sales database and that type of thing. That's the most common kind of use for it, I guess. Otherwise, they're separate sites.
I think that's it, isn't it? Multi-step forms. There we go. There's another one. Multi-step forms can be easily achieved just by creating a page, sticking a form on it. A form then has a property on it called onSubmit redirect, and you would basically just redirect it to the second page of form fields. We've got a few examples of that where like maybe there's like a two-step registration page where a user might enter in just like a first name, last name, and they click next or subscribe, and then it goes to a full one. So I guess here's like an example of that sort of stuff where you might have like a contact page, and then you go next, and that submits it, and then it goes to the next step.
Where those steps are just different pages. So we have like a bit of a web design brief that uses something similar to this as well.
Okay, so I think that's all of the questions. Does anyone else have any before we wrap that up? Okay, so can a subsite appear as part of the hierarchy of the main site, like mounting a Unix file system somewhere in? Basically, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking there, but
it's Paul.
Do you have a microphone, Paul?
There he is. There. If you can fumble through Zoom, Paul.
Hello.
There you go, mate.
Hi. Yeah. So what I mean is, if it's a marketing subsite, for example, for something, a product or an event or something like that, can it just be accessed as part of? Can it just appear as part of the main website, like under a particular, kind of URL prefix kind of thing, like slash, my event slash, and then that below that it's the subsite kind of thing.
Oh yeah. So basically, when we talk about a subsite, it's a completely different domain or subdomain. So if you're just talking about creating a new hierarchy of pages,
Yes.
You would simply just create it as a child page. So if you had like, I know, slash events, for instance, you would create that as the parent and then create a series of child pages underneath that one. When you are editing a page, you can also select the design that that page uses. And then when you create new child pages, it'll automatically default the design to that parent page's design.
Okay. So if you wanted to have, for example, another question I asked there, if you wanted to have a set of pages, like for instance in Business Catalyst or any other, even a static site, that they might be in a particular folder in the hierarchy, and you just wanted to have a CSS file that you just applied to those particular pages. What I'm hearing you say is that you could have a particular design, like a template just for those particular pages, and it could have its own link to it, or its own CSS settings, or its own CSS file linked to it, and that's kind of then localized to that part of the tree, of the page tree, and it's not global. Is that correct?
Yeah, so what you could do is basically for any page, you can come in and select its design, and that will basically change the overarching, template, and move the content into it.
Yeah, sure. So different page designs within a particular website are like different templates within
That's
Business
correct.
Catalyst.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's correct.
The design. It's funny that the language terminologies like template, theme, design. There's a couple of different ways.
Yeah. So you're not stuck with one kind of template for the whole website. That's what I'm getting at.
You can create as many designs as you want, and then with those designs, you can apply them to whichever pages you want to. So, for instance, this design here is being used by these 12 pages. And yeah, you can basically set them up for any page to use any design that you want.
So can child pages only be children of another web page? That like you don't have any concept like of folders like you have in Business Catalyst?
No, it's basically you have the parent page, which is like, okay, so in this case, the home page is /. If you look at the URL down the very bottom of the screen, you've got and then /about, and then about /our crew, for instance. So it basically will give you a page hierarchy that you can manipulate. If you want to access the file system itself, you can do that through the media section. If you go into insert and then go from media, it'll basically give you these are actually files on the file system that you can navigate between and select media or something like that from a different.
And you can create a folder structure hierarchy within that media.
If you wanted to make like a CSS folder or something like that.
If you just wanted to segregate things to keep them, organized, for example.
Yeah, you can do that for sure. By default, every page will have its own media folder that the assets for that page or email campaign or whatever the user creates will typically go into. And then from there,
when you say every page, you meant every site, did you?
No, I mean every page. So, say for instance, I'm editing the this Our Crew page. When I like insert an image or something like that, I go insert, and then I can either edit the image straight away and upload it. If I upload content into this page, it will go into a special media folder for that page.
Oh, I see. But it's all under the global media folder. Yep.
That's correct. Yeah. So the structure of it is basically like media, and then we have the different folders that will be created for each.
So each page gets its own folder, but the developer can create their own folders as well. Yeah. I see. Okay. So you can kind of control the scope of things quite well.
Yeah, so you can, by default, it'll automatically, I guess, create new folders and stuff for new bits of content that you create. But then you can, obviously go in and manipulate that structure however you want it as well.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, guys. It's really, I would echo the comment of the other person that you've done a lot of work on this. Whose brainwave was it?
We've got 7 full-time developers here, so it's a big effort from all of us. But I initially started it, and it's been going pretty well.
Great.
Yeah, so no, it's
Okay.
yeah, it's going pretty good.
All right, thanks,
Thank you.
Paul.
Thank you.
So I think having a look at the chat and the questions and stuff, I reckon we've mostly kind of covered off on everything at this stage. So thanks heaps to everyone for coming and meeting both of us. We'll be in touch with everyone and yeah, see if we can help you out. But yeah, really excited to see you guys so positive about the product. It definitely means a lot to us. So thanks
really
heaps for that. And yeah, we'll definitely be in touch.
So next step is I will send out an email campaign with a link to a form for registering to become a reseller. From there, we'll basically create that account for you. You'll be able to log in and create new clients' accounts. And yeah, we're really approachable. So please, ask us any questions, technical, whatever the case may be. We're going to help out where we can. So yeah, really trying to build out that partner network. So yeah, we're really focused on keeping and supporting our partners where we can as well. All right, so thanks everyone, and yeah, I hope to hear from you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks a lot.